Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something fundamental.
Absolutely. Foundational stuff.
Yeah, our listener sent over some great material on what the two main pillars of Buddhist meditation, Samatha and Vipassana.
Hmm.
And our mission really is to unpack what they are, but also, crucially, how they, work together, how they cultivate awareness.
It's a classic pairing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about, like, simple relaxation here.
Yeah.
This is the whole system, the Buddhist system, essentially, for training the mind. It's got two parts: concentration,
Samatha.
right, and wisdom.
Vipassana.
Exactly. And if you really want to understand mindfulness beyond the surface level, this distinction is just critical.
And what I found helpful right away, actually, from the sources is the imagery they use, because they aren't like competing methods, are they?
Not at all. Totally interdependent.
They're described as the two wings of a bird. I like that one. Or two horses pulling the chariot of the Dhamma.
Yeah, that's it.
You need both, basically. Otherwise, nothing's moving.
That bird analogy is perfect, I think. It clarifies the role so well. That's the capacity for sustained focus.
Right.
That's the power, the stability. It's kind of like the engine.
Yeah. Right, the horsepower.
Exactly. And then Vipassana, that's the insight bit. Seeing reality clearly. That provides the direction, the steering wheel, if you like.
Ah, okay. So one without the other. It doesn't work.
Nope. You either have a powerful engine just spinning its wheels, going nowhere.
Stuck in the mud.
Yeah. Or you have this brilliant steering system, but it's attached to a car that won't start. You need both working together.
Okay, let's dive into that engine first then, the stability part, samatha. The Sanskrit shamatha means calmness or tranquility. We all know what scattered feels like, but what is samatha actually trying to build? What's the goal?
It's building samadhi, deep, unwavering concentration. The aim is to quieten down all that internal chatter.
The monkey mind.
The monkey mind, exactly. All the distractions. And achieve this sustained, one-pointed focus on just one thing. Usually something quite simple, quite benign.
And you're not analyzing it.
No, you're just like merging your attention with it, fully absorbed.
Okay, and the methods seem quite varied, but they all have that same core idea, right? Fixing the mind.
That's the common thread.
So for someone listening, the most famous one is probably focusing on the breath, anapanasati.
Yes, absolutely standard.
But the sources also mention concentrating on like a visual disc, a kasina. That sounds intense.
It is intense, yeah.
How does staring at a colored circle help calm the mind? It sounds almost counterintuitive.
Well, the kasina practice is kind of an extreme form of samatha, really.
Yeah.
It's designed specifically to bypass thinking, conceptual thought.
How?
You stare at the physical disc until you can see it clearly in your mind's eye. Then you close your eyes and just hold on to that mental image. It's a really strong way to tether the mind. The mind wants to jump around between ideas, right? But this forces it to hold on to something non-conceptual, a shape, a color.
And that effort.
That effort itself generates profound stillness because there's nowhere else for the mind to go.
Okay, so the result isn't just, taking a quick break. The sources talk about jhana, absorption, as this successful outcome. And I think many people confuse meditation with just like chilling out. What does jhana feel like? Is it just deep relaxation?
It's radically different. Yeah, relaxation often has this element of dullness, maybe, or sleepiness. Jhana is intense clarity combined with profound stability. The mind is so locked onto its object, the breath, the kasina, whatever, that the usual sense of, me observing that starts to fade. It can temporarily dissolve.
Really?
Yeah. The mind becomes incredibly powerful, luminous even, very clear.
And this is where it gets really practical psychologically. The sources emphasize that this deep absorption is valuable because it temporarily frees the mind from the 5 hindrances. Now, these sound like ancient Buddhist terms.
They are.
But what are they in, like, everyday language? What are we being freed from?
Oh, the everyday static, basically.
Yeah.
The chaos of the normal mind. You've got sensory desire. That's the constant pull towards pleasure, checking your phone, one to the next thing.
Okay, yeah. Familiar.
Then ill will, there's irritation, resentment, anger, even subtle stuff. Then sloth and torpor.
Feeling sluggish, mentally foggy.
Exactly. Mental dullness, lack of energy, lethargy. Then restlessness, anxiety, the inability to just be fidgeting.
Worrying,
yeah. And finally, doubt, which is more like indecision, paralysis, the inability to commit to the practice or trust this process.
So Samat is like stripping away all that mental friction, the constant background noise and pulls.
Precisely. It gives you that stability, that mental horsepower we talked about.
So that when you do try to look closely at something,
Your mind doesn't just immediately fog up again or get dragged away by the next worry or desire. Samatha provides the stable platform. It's almost a prerequisite for genuine insight, which brings us neatly to the second wing, Vipassana.
right.
So if Samatha gives you the stable container, the calm mind, Vipassana is what you do with it. It's the process of using that stillness to actually see.
And the word itself, Vipassana.
Means insight or clear seeing.
Okay, so here the method changes quite a bit, right? Samatha often works by maybe suppressing those hindrances through intense focus.
Temporarily, yes.
But Vipassana, it doesn't suppress. It uses that stable mind to actively investigate whatever is happening.
Exactly. It's not about shutting things out. It's about looking directly at the flow of your experience moment by moment. It's the difference between, say, cleaning the window so you can see out.
Which is Samatha.
Right. And then actually looking through the clean window to understand the landscape. That's Vipassana.
And the core method here is mindfulness. Sati. Sati, which involves observing everything. Thoughts, feelings, sensations as they come and go.
Yes, the continuous flow. Watching things arise, noticing their nature, and watching them pass away without getting caught up in the story.
Okay, without getting caught up, that sounds like the really hard part.
It is.
For us regular humans, when a difficult thought or a painful feeling comes up, the instinct is grab onto it or push it away, right? Fight or flight.
Absolutely.
Does the source material give any specific technique for dealing with that judgment, that reaction, or is it just, grit your teeth and suppress it?
No, it's definitely not suppression. That's a great point. The key is actually to note the judgment itself.
Note the judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So irritation arises. Instead of getting lost in the irritation or trying to force it down, you mentally note, irritation arising or thinking or judging mind. You treat the reaction itself as just another event to be observed.
I see. So you're creating a bit of space, psychological distance.
Precisely. You're using the stability you built with Samatha to maintain that distance, that observational perch.
Okay. And this kind of relentless, non-judgmental observation, it has a really profound goal, doesn't it? It's aimed at getting direct experiential insight into what the Buddhists call the 3 marks of existence.
Yes. This is the core wisdom aspect.
Let's unpack those, because this seems to be where the practice really cuts through delusion. The first one is Anicca, impermanence.
Right, Anicca. Now, intellectually, we all kind of know things change.
Sure, nothing lasts forever.
But Vipassana isn't about intellectual understanding. It's about feeling it directly. Watching a sensation arise in your body, peak and then dissolve. Seeing a thought flicker into existence and vanish. You realize that what feels like solid reality is actually this constant flux. Like a waterfall, not a stone wall.
Okay, constant change. Then the second mark, Dukkha. Often translated as suffering, but I gather it's more nuanced. Unsatisfactoriness.
Yeah, unsatisfactoriness is often a better fit. A stress, maybe.
So, if everything's changing, Anicca, why does that automatically lead to stress or dukkha?
Because we constantly crave permanence in a world that is inherently impermanent.
Oh.
Dukkha arises from the friction between our desire for things to stay the same, especially pleasant things, and the reality that they won't. We cling. Vipassana lets you watch that clinging mechanism in action. You see yourself grasping at a pleasant feeling, resisting an unpleasant one, and you experientially feel the stress inherent in that resistance to change.
Right. Trying to hold on to smoke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the third one, Anatta, non-self. This one often feels the most, weird, counterintuitive.
Yeah. If I'm sitting here observing my thoughts, observing my feelings, and I see they're all changing, who is the I that's doing the observing? The idea of non-self seems to undermine everything we feel ourselves to be.
It is challenging. And this is where, the deep insight really comes in. Anatta isn't saying you don't exist in some nihilistic way.
Okay, good.
It's pointing to the fact that if you look really closely at all the components of your experience, the physical sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, the memories, the consciousness itself, they're all constantly changing processes. There's no permanent, independent, fixed CEO in the middle running the show.
So the sense of me, the self.
It's seen as a process, a construct, a
Yeah.
collection of constantly shifting parts and patterns that we bundle together and label me. Useful for navigating the world for sure, but ultimately, when you investigate it deeply, there's no solid, unchanging core to be found.
Wow. So Vipassana isn't about finding some hidden essential soul. It's about seeing the machinery of the mind-body process so clearly.
That the illusion of a separate fixed controller, the self, is seen through. It's recognized as just another part of the changing flow.
And that direct seeing, that's the wisdom.
That's the wisdom, Prajin, that leads towards liberation. It cuts through that fundamental illusion of being a solid self in a solid world, which is the root of so much of our stress and suffering.
Okay, so we have Samatha, the concentration, the stable platform, and Vipassana, the insight, the clear seeing from that platform.
The two wings.
Right. And the sources are really clear. They insist these two must be yoked together like those chariot horses.
Indispensable.
So if you listening, trying to figure out how this applies, how does that mutual support actually work, like in practice when you're sitting down to meditate?
Well, they feed each other constantly. Think about needing Samatha first. If you try to do Vipassana, say, observing the subtle arising and passing of sensations, really seeing Anicca moment to moment.
Yeah.
If your mind is all over the place, totally restless.
Jumping to the grocery list.
Exactly. Or worrying about work. Then that delicate insight, that observation, is gone in a split second. You can't sustain the investigation.
Right. So without the focus and energy from Samatha, Vipassana just becomes what? Scattered thinking?
Oh, no.
Daydreaming?
Pretty much, or maybe just high-level intellectualizing about change rather than seeing it. It doesn't have the penetrating power, can't get deep enough.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the other way around? What's the danger of having Samatha without Vipassana?
Oh, yeah. That's crucial, too. Let's say you get really good at Samatha. You achieve jhana, these incredibly peaceful, blissful states of absorption.
Sounds pretty good.
It feels amazing, profoundly calm, clear, often blissful. But, and this is the big but, if you don't then apply Vipassana to investigate that state.
Investigate the bliss.
Yes, investigate its nature. See its impermanence, Anicca. See that even this blissful state is conditioned. It arises, and it will pass away. See that clinging to it is still a form of subtle dukkha. Recognize it's not me experiencing bliss, but just a temporary mental formation. And if you don't do that,
what happens?
You risk getting attached to the pleasant state itself. It can become a kind of spiritual dead end, a very refined form of escapism.
So pure concentration mastery could just become a really nice mental holiday. Pleasant, sure, but not actually leading to fundamental freedom.
Exactly that. It's temporary relief, not lasting insight. The mind is super concentrated, yes, but it hasn't dismantled the underlying delusion of a permanent self or the tendency to cling. So when the jhana fades, as it must, the old patterns of suffering can just creep back in.
Okay.
Vipassana provides the wisdom, the insight, the context. It directs that powerful, concentrated energy from samatha towards understanding the true nature of things, towards genuine liberation, not just temporary peace.
So it really is about the combination. Concentration needs to be like guided or purified by wisdom, and wisdom needs the stable energy of concentration to do its work effectively.
Perfectly put. And that's why in the traditional framework, these practices map directly onto the Noble Eightfold Path.
How so?
Well, samatha is the heart of right concentration, one of the path factors. It builds that necessary focus. And vipassana, the insight practice, is essentially the engine driving right understanding and right mindfulness. Seeing reality clearly, right understanding, through sustained non-judgmental observation, mindfulness. The two wings, samatha and vipassana, they really make the whole path take flight. It's the complete training package.
And this dual approach, this union, it's not some obscure idea, is it? It forms the basis of, well, pretty much all major Buddhist traditions today in one form or another.
Absolutely. Different schools might emphasize one over the other initially or have different specific techniques, but the underlying principle of uniting calm and insight is universal. It's timeless.
So whether someone starts by really focusing on calming the mind first, maybe a more samatha-led approach.
Right. Building stability first.
Or they start with mindful observation, using that investigation itself to gradually build stability, maybe more Vipassana-led.
Yeah, an insight-first approach.
The end goal involves bringing both together.
That's the key. Calm without insight can be, well, a bit blind perhaps. Pleasant, but not liberating. And insight without calm tends to be scattered, unstable, not deep enough.
Okay. So this brings us to a final thought, something for you, listening, to maybe reflect on. Whether you practice meditation or not, just thinking about your own mind and experience, especially trying to balance everything in modern life. Which wing feels like it needs more support right now in your own experience?
That's a great reflection point. Is your mind typically quite scattered, easily distracted? Do you feel like you need to cultivate more of that samatha quality, more focus, more stability, just being able to stay with something?
Roar.
Or is your mind relatively stable, perhaps? You can focus when you need to. But maybe you still find yourself getting caught up in confusion or clinging tightly to things or feeling dissatisfied even when things are okay.
Meaning, you might need more vipassana, more insight into how things actually are, how change works, how clinging creates stress.
Exactly. Just noticing where your own particular imbalance might lie right now. That self-awareness, that's probably the most practical takeaway from this whole deep dive. Where is your energy best directed?
A fascinating question to ponder. Until next time, keep digging into the sources.
And keep observing.
We'll be right here.